Welcome to this short video that will go over the first two activities that are in the Part B lecture notebook for the second module. So I will go ahead and just run all cells initially because there's some importing of libraries that's being used. And we're going to go to practice with using imported functions. So in this activity, this practice with using imported functions, we are to fill in the missing pieces of the code cells below to import the uniform function from the subpackage numpy.random as run if. So if you look at this first code cell, we are from numpy random.random. We want to import, and what we want to import is the uniform function, and we want to import that as random uniform or run if. Random uniform is basically the reasoning behind that name. Because it's random, there's the R, and the unif comes from uniform. So there's some convention that's being used there. Now we want to print a single uniform random number between 0 and 1, and we want to print a single uniform random number between 9 and 10. Now if you want, you can certainly split this code cell. So I could go to edit here and I could split the cell like right at this point. Where the cursor currently is, but that's not necessary. It's just if you want to have two different code cells. I am going to generate a sample that is a randomly generated, uniform randomly generated number between 0 and 1. Well, in that case, let me go ahead and fix the code commenting there. I want the low to be equal to 0.0 and the high to be between 1.0. 0 and 1 as ints would also work here. And then for this one to be between 9 and 10, 9.0 and 10.0. That's kind of all there is to it. That you're doing everything that I'm asking. And there you have it. There I've generated the numbers. Now, if you run this a few times, so notice this is the first number was 0.44. That's only between 0 and 1. And the second number is 9.83. Look what happens if I run it again. 0.397 and 9.14. And if I run it again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, you see that you generate lots of different random numbers. There's never the same number twice. If you wanted to control the randomness of the number, then one of the things that you could do in this code cell, I'll actually do this here and show you what I was about to do, is you could set the random seed for what the random number, this will determine basically how the random numbers are generated. You're setting a random seed in the random number generator. So it's a starting point essentially for the sequence of random numbers. So now if I run this, oops. Oh, I haven't imported numpy yet as np. Let me do that. Now import numpy as np. There we go. So now if I run this, there you go. I get 0.1269 and 9.96. Now this random seed is being generated it's being set every time I run this code cell. So if I run this again, if I run it again and again and again and again, so you can see this number over here changing. Same numbers though, 1.1269 and 9.9667. And I run it again and again, it's always the same numbers. Now, if I take that random seed generator, let's say I happen to put it up there when I imported it. Now when I run this, watch, 0.1269, 9.96. This will be the same number generated here. Same number, but what happens when I run it again? It's different. Now I'm continuing on from where the random seed was generated to generate new random numbers just from that starting point that was I put a seed of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I run this again and again, you'll notice that the numbers keep changing. All I did by setting the random seed is I set a starting point for the random number generator. And it's a good idea for reproducibility if you want someone to see the exact same random numbers you've seen at some point, is you set a random seed once at the top of your code somewhere, the top of your notebook. Then everything that you run after that, as long as you only run it once, will be the numbers that you want. If I ever just go back and rerun this code cell, and I mean I can certainly put this in its own code cell here. So here we go. I run the random seed. Remember, it was like 0.1 something 26, something like that. 0.1269 and 9.966. So again, if I continue to run, what will happen, what you'll observe, is that the sequence of numbers you get from rerunning it will be the same that you get after you run this code cell. And if I run that code cell again, I've reset the starting point for the random numbers. So now when I run this, I get 0.1269. Run it again, 0.26, run it again, 0.3767. I'm just reading this first one. If I set the seed again, if I run it, I'm just resetting where I want the random numbers to start from. Run it again, 0.1269, 9.96, and you can just play around with that. It's not a bad idea to see this. It's not something you have to do, but I figured it's worth seeing at this point in the course. So I'll just put that there. Let me just Control Z to undo some things for you to do. So hold on one second. My son is calling. All right, and I am back. Let us go to the next, if I can find it down here, activity. This is asking us to create arrays of different shapes. You are to fill in the code cells below to create a 2D array of shape 2 by 3 and a 3D array of shape 1, 2, 3. You are then to create new code cells, excuse me, to make a 3D array of shape 3, 2, 1 and a 2D array of shape 3, 2. So we can go ahead and create the two new code cells that we need. So I just clicked here and then pressed A on my keyboard twice to create these two code cells above the cyan border. Remember to always put all your activity work inside the cyan borders. And then here, I will just first make the arrays that are corresponding to this first bullet point. So an array of shape 2 by 3 and 1, 2, 3. So you can just go ahead and start trying. I have the examples above, the instructor-led activity, and I've done some of this work. Should be relatively straightforward. But imagine I just say, okay, 1, 2, 3. So this is my first row. You see it? That's my first row. And then my second row, which should also have 3 elements, I'll say 4, 5, 6. If I look at it, I see that I've created an array of shape 2 by 3. Now, to create a one copy of a 2 by 3 array, which is a good way to think of the 3D array shapes, then what I see is I want to do something similar here. I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. So notice though that there's the 3 brackets. So this is the outer bracket is saying, if I could have multiple copies, if I put a comma here, for instance, I could then create additional copies of, let's say, 2 by 3 arrays. But I only want one 2 by 3 array, and that's exactly what I've done. I've created one 2 by 3 array, and I'm just indexing it this way. But maybe I wanted to create other ones just to show you the idea. You're always welcome to explore, although I would create new code cells to do this. But if I did that, so, there's my, square brackets. There is my new 2 by 3 array. And so I'm just created a copy of it. This should be a 2 by 2 by 3 array because it's 2 copies of 2 by 3 arrays. See, that's exactly what it is. Here's the first 2 by 3 array. Here's the second 2 by 3 array. But that is not what you're asked to do with the instructions. I'm just showing you some additional things to do. So then what I'd recommend doing for the other code cells is say like you want to create a 3 by 2 by 1 and a 3 by 2. So let's do the 3D array first. So maybe this is my other array 3D, my other array 3D, and my other array. And then of course, you have to make sure that you change things in all the right places. A lot of copy and paste errors are just forgetting to edit things everywhere. So the idea again here, I'll rerun that code cell. That's my 1 by 2 by 3. In order to make a 3 by 2 by 1, what I'm saying is I want 3 different 2 by 1 arrays. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to create 2 by 1 arrays. So 2 rows, 1 column. So there's my first row. My second row, there's 1 column in each. If you were to just look at this one, this is a 1 by 2 by 1. See, it's 1, 2 by 1. I want 3 2 by 1s though. So what I want to do is kind of similar to what I said before. I want to create another, it helps with the readability. I want to have my 3 here, and let's say a 4. Doesn't really matter what numbers you put, but there's my second 2 by 1 array. And now here will be my third 2 by 1 array. So there you have it. There's my 3 different 2 by 1 arrays. And then to create my final 3 by 2 array, I could copy this down, paste it, my other array that is 2D, my other array. I'm just going to go ahead and copy that so I don't have to type it each time. And then I can just paste it in all the places I need. There we go. And it needed to be, again, I've already forgot, 3 by 2, a 3-2 array. So in that case, I want 3 rows and 2 columns. So here's 2 rows with 2 columns each. Add another row. You always got to pay attention to where the square brackets are. And we have it. There is our 3 by 2 array. So that pretty much completes that activity. And then, of course, the only remaining activity is the summary one, where you should write complete sentences and have code cells that are well aligned, code examples that work that are well aligned with the statement that you're making up there. So that's it for this video. Thanks for listening.